live on GH1, Metro TV, Wazo TV, Plus FM, Atinka FM, Joy News, City TV, Channel 1, and Pan African TV. If we acknowledge any other TV station broadcasting live, we will acknowledge for the presser ends. Without much ado, we invite the national chairman to give the address to the nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy National Communications Officer. Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen of the media. Let me also commend you for your prompt response to our invitation to address the nation through you, in spite of the short notice. We have decided to go slow on addressing the media so that we don't inflame passions and tensions that usually attend elections such as the one we've just gone through. But it seems to us that our silence is being taken advantage of by both the Electoral Commission and the New Patriotic Party to continue with the impunity they have been known for the past 8 years. The subject of today's presser has to do with what is happening at the police training school in Tessan. Some people call it RE-COLLATION, some people call it collation, and so on. Whatever name you call rose, it will still smell sweet. And a decorated donkey still remains an ass. It cannot be turned off. We in the NDC believe that what is happening at the police training school amounts to illegality. It is not founded on any laws of our elections. Neither is it based on any consensus that has been reached between the parties and the Electoral Commission. And so we want to inform the nation and to give notice to any officials of the commission and the police who are involved in the perpetration of that illegality, to know that there could be consequences of their actions in future. We know the process of our elections is quite clear. After voting, votes are counted and the results entered on what we call the result declaration forms, or the pink sheet, and the presiding officer at the polling station proceeds to announce the outcomes at the polling stations, after which all party agents sign and then are given copies of the results. The reason is that everybody will be having the same figures simultaneously. That is one of the most important checks in our elections. And that is why we always say that elections are won or lost at polling stations. Now, after what has been declared at the polling station, the law requires the presiding officer to paste a copy of the result declared at the polling station at the place where the election took place. And then, after all these declarations have been done at the various polling stations, then the parties, together with the Electoral Commission, will now meet at the Constituency Collation Center, where the originals of the results declared at the polling station, which will be in the possession of the Electoral Commission, will be produced, and tallies are made out of that EC copies. But to check that EC itself will not play games, all the participating parties will have their collation agents at the collation center, and they will come there with copies of each of the polling station results, so that when the EC collation, constituency collation officer mentions a polling station by name and code and mention the figures, then all the parties that have copies of the pin sheets will now verify and check whether the figures on their copies of the pin sheet tally with what the Electoral Commission is mentioning. This provision is a check on the Electoral Commission officers, so that they themselves cannot perpetrate fraud during the elections. Now, after we all agree on the figures as mentioned, because if everything is right, all the figures must tally, because the pink sheets are filled in quadruplicate, duplicate, quintuplicate, or whatever the case may be, depending on the number of candidates. So everybody will have the same copy. So the moment figures change, and you find parties holding different documents with different tallies of votes, then there is a big problem. And that problem cannot be pinned on a single political party, because the same way political parties are capable of perpetrating fraud, the Electoral Commission officers also are capable of perpetrating the same fraud. So you need to find a way of looking at it so that you can identify who did the wrong thing. But whatever happens, at the end of the collation at the constituency collation centers, the results are entered also on the collation sheet and are signed and certified and pronounced upon by the returning officer. And in our elections, in our general elections, you have two categories of returning officers. The returning officer for parliamentary elections and the returning officer for presidential elections. And they alone have exclusive powers to pronounce the outcomes of the elections, and nobody else. That is why it takes the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, who is the designated returning officer for presidential elections to pronounce on the presidential elections. No other person can pronounce on the presidential elections apart from the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. In much the same way, at the constituency level, the law mandates only the returning officer in the constituency to pronounce on the outcomes of the parliamentary elections in those respective constituencies. No other person. The chairperson in Accra of the Electoral Commission cannot pronounce the outcomes of the parliamentary elections in any constituency. The regional directors of the EC cannot pronounce on the outcome of constituency elections, even though they may be superior officers to the constituency returning officers. The district officers, if they are not designated as returning officers, cannot announce or declare the results of parliamentary elections. Because returning officers, once they are designated before the election, they are sworn in that they will speak the truth and then declare everything. So those returning officers who are being who are claiming that they have declared one set of results in the constituency, and now they are claiming before their bosses that they declared those resources on their duress, so they are now going to declare another set of results. They know they may be on the wrong side of the law in future. And so what we are seeing in police training depot, we tried to find out what was happening there, because that meeting was called without any discussions with us as leadership of the National Democratic Congress. We were just here when we heard that our Electoral Commission and the police have decided that the outstanding, what they call outstanding constituencies, or constituencies where there appear to be some conflicts, they are inviting all of them to come and do collation and recollation. For some of us, when we were asked by our officials in the constituencies, we told them plainly that we didn't have any notice about it and we are not involved. In fact, I advised some of them not to appear, because what is going to happen there has no basis in any of our electoral laws. Now, checking from the police about what was happening there, we were told that the Electoral Commission had informed or misinformed the police that the political parties have come together through consensus that we must establish this center at the police training school and then bring all the areas under contention for these issues to be addressed. And we said that sorry, because we tried to find out why would the police accept to protect people who are engaged in some illegality to go about their business. And this was what they told us. We have since told them that we are not part of it. We have never discussed any of these things with the Electoral Commission anywhere. And so we, whilst monitoring, we heard yesterday that Nketiah North constituency, whose results had been collated and declared at Begro, had now been recollated at police training depot and declared by somebody who is other than the returning officer. Yeah, in fact, it doesn't amount to redeclaration, because the person who was forced to declare artisanal is not the designated person who has power or authority to declare any results of Antiaqua at all. So, and that person was standing by the returning officer in Begro when the returning officer was declaring the results. And then he is now invited to come and re-declare. And I'm not surprised, it reminds me about your drama in Parliament, where Mr. Speaker presides and takes a decision, and then the following day MPP forces a deputy speaker to go and reverse the decision of the speaker. So this is the hallmarks of MPP's impunity. So we don't want to, engage in anything that will escalate tensions. So we have proceeded to court and have applied to injunct the process that is going on there. And we hope we are putting the Electoral Commission and all other people involved in that illegality on notice that what they are doing amounts to an illegality. If they choose to proceed, then they will be ready for the consequences. The staff of the commission who are engaged in this illegality, there will be consequences for them in future. And let me also advise some other influential people in society. I hear that in some places, chiefs are involving themselves in this electoral process and putting pressure on commission officers not to proceed to do their work according to law. We are also advising Nanano that it is for very good reasons that the Constitution provides that Nanano should not be involved in active partisan politics. But if they choose to descend into the arena of controversy, then they know the consequences will be obvious. So we are advising Nanano to conduct themselves, as many of those who are involved, to conduct themselves as chiefs of all the contestants and not to enter into this arena of controversy. Because if you present yourself as a politician, we will treat you as a politician. If you present yourself as a competitor, we treat you as competitor. If you present yourself as a contestant, the other contestants will treat you as such. And I don't think it will be good for us, because the provision in the Constitution barring chiefs from participating in this active politics has at least served our democracy that far. And so we are advising to take note of that and contribute their quota by way of peace building rather than entering the arena of controversy. Now, I heard my junior brother Asiedu Makin, who having rejected the position of minority leader, is now on his way to becoming a micro minority. Bragging that he belongs to a party of rule of law and all that. Who doesn't know about MPP? We in the National Democratic Congress don't need lectures from Asiedu Makin about democracy at all. Indeed, if there were any need for lectures in impunity, then we will invite him as our lecturer. If it is about democracy, he must shut up. He should go back to his region and take stock of his parliamentary candidates who have been shooting and killing people, his party people, who have been shooting and maiming people across the country. We are quiet not because we are going to sleep over this. We are sending notice that all this violence, right from 2016 to date, will be properly investigated, and our electoral system and democracy will be cleaned of these violent states. Immediately we take over. And so anybody who is thinking about abusing these 3 weeks, abusing his power during these 3 weeks to create any problem, he must know that there will be consequences for him after we take over. I want to thank you all, and may God bless our whole land.
Okay, please.
No, we want. Well, if you want to ask any questions,
Any question?
We are being told the CID director is dodging the injunction you sent. The post is on CTFM by the Rashid Sanko computer. That the CID director is blocking the service of the injunction.
Okay, thank you. The next question, please. TV3.
Yeah, so just to find out from you if you've done the IGP or what is happening at the police training school, because as the head of the police service, he should be.
Okay, right. Next
So what happens to the constituencies that have been redeclared?
Redeclaration of the new constituencies. That's all. Yes.
Yes, General, you just told us that.
I'm still general.
You just told us that the process ongoing at the police training school, the NDC as a party was not informed.
Yes.
You've come to the conclusion that you are placing an injunction on the whole process. Did you arrive at this conclusion because at a point the NDC as a party realized that members or your candidates who were declared winners are now tending to be losers? Was that the position? Is that the position of the NDC?
Okay. All right. Yes, each one.
Yeah, so you think that what is happening is illegal, but we've seen that, and that results must be declared as a consequence. But we've seen that other results were declared as the EC regional office here in Accra. We used to hold the same position on that.
All right. All right, so that will be all.
Yeah. Well, you can run, but you cannot hide. This is notice that we are giving them. We are putting the whole country on notice. So if an individual officer knows that he is conducting himself well according to law, Why would you be running away from service? So the fact that they are running away from service means that they intend to become fugitives of the law, and you know what it means when you get arrested. The injunction application has already been served on the Electoral Commission. So the one who received the service is Daniel Nyamiche at the headquarters of the Electoral Commission. So the Electoral Commission has been served. Bosman Asare, Dr. Bosman Asare has acknowledged receipt of the application, and the director of CID, Faustina Adokofi, appears to ignore the process and has asked the EC to continue. So if Adokofi is allowing the process to continue, she would bear the consequences of her action. And the rest of the questions, it has been answered. I'm saying that, look, if you all sign a declaration here that we are going to commit crime, does that make the commission of the killing of the person legal? It has not. It's conspiracy to commit crime. And they can deal with all of you. And I'm saying, as leader of this party, that I'm not involved in anything that has, arrived at any consensus to do anything anywhere. And when there is a declaration, nobody can do any other declaration. You resort to court. If Afenyo Markin is listening, you go to court. All these charges about I declared under duress and so on, they will be part of the evidence that you will lead in court, that I did this under duress. And then the elements of duress will be investigated, the particulars of the duress will be investigated. And then it will take the court to make a pronouncement on your claim. So you can't say that an electoral officer has told you that he declared the results, but he was pressurized to declare it. So you are going to call that person to come and recollate and redeclare. It hasn't happened anywhere. If that is the case, the process will go on ad infinitum, because anybody in any of the constituencies can come out and claim that he or she was asked to declare under duress. So what do? You have to go and open up. That is why the law is very, very clear that once the declaration has been made, you can only question that declaration in the court of law. And in the case of parliamentary, it's the High Court. So you proceed. And we have precedences, several precedences of this. Nketiah myself, only in 2020, it was after the declaration, we brought all the pin sheet down here to the Electoral Commission headquarters in Accra. Our MPs who led the work to present those documents were beaten up by the police. And the Electoral Commission said, you should go to court, even when we have all the figures and the tally indicate that the officer there was wrong. So we went to court. So what has changed? And incidentally, they are now talking about the same Nketiah staff, where they are claiming that some declaration was done wrongly. So now they are calling to now recollate and redeclare. So it's like when it falls this way, then it is not allowed. But when it is that way, then it is allowed. In 2016, when we complained initially about the results that were being collated, collation had not ended. Presidential collation had not ended. Peace Council members came to President Mohammed's office and sought to find out from us what we thought they could do, because we had addressed the press that wrong things were being done. So they followed up to President Mohammed's office to try to find out whether they could be of any help, because they heard us appealing to them. And we said that the pink sheets are there. Things that are being done, we believe are wrong. So can we all meet at a place, NPP, NDC, in the presence of external observers? Then we all go through the collation, and whatever the figures will come out, we will all accept. That was where they were talking about, and changing figures, talking and changing figures. So we said, let us deal with this thing once and for all. Can we all meet and respond? Peace Council agreed to go and consult the other side. Indeed, they went to consult the Electoral Commission, and they consulted NPP, and they consulted the external observers, and they actually gave us a time, I think 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, for all of us to meet at Kempinski Hotel for this exercise to be done. That was where collation had not completed, but we found serious problems with what they were figuring out. And that was the reason the Electoral Commission invited our agents from the strong room to be briefed about in her office. And so when they had that information, they were now proceeding to go and see President Mahama so that we will all reconverge at the Kempinski Hotel for the exercise that we all agreed to undertake. When they were on their way to President Mohammed's office, the Mensa was declaring results. And the claim was that if we didn't agree to anything, we should go to court. We went to court, asking her to come and mount the witness box and tell us the basis of her declaration, because we have had about 4 or 5 different sets of figures that have been announced. So we can only get to the bottom when she tells us what figures totaled, which results she declared. Our case was simple. Because you have declared results, and we said that give us the figures whose total come up to that result. And the court blocked her from accounting to the nation and turned around to say that we who were demanding that she should tell us the total of her work, we should rather bring our pink sheets. What they are doing now, subsequently, when we brought pink sheets in the case of some constituency election results, as we did in Nketiah, the Electoral Commission managed to produce some figures which were completely different from those they had signed to and given copies to us. So this conduct is undermining a key transparency measure where we are going now, and by the ruling of the Wenchi court in the case of the Nketiah issue, is that even if you are holding a pink sheet signed by the Electoral Commission, it's useless. If the Electoral Commission is able to get another pink sheet whose figures are different, then you must go according to Electoral Commission's figures. So what check would the political parties have against the Electoral Commission officials themselves engaging in fraud? Nothing. So it's a major issue we will be addressing in the next government to make sure that we restore the credibility of the Electoral Commission and the confidence Ghanaians had in our commission before the advent of Madam James. So I think we have, and then somebody was saying because we did what? It is neither here nor there. If we want to follow it, because me, if I went round and everywhere that we lost, I bring them and say that, okay, the declaration, my claim is that the declarations were done on the rest. What will prevent them from re-collating? It will be a chaotic situation. So it's not about anybody winning or losing. In fact, all the constituencies they are dealing with there, I don't think any of them is in our tally as at now, but we still have won, over 180 something seats. So we are just looking for the right things to be done according to law. It's not about winning the election. They themselves, even before the declaration of the result, they themselves have come to tell us that they have lost. But it is not about winning or losing. It's about making sure that the democratic process is followed. And that is why we are doing it. So thank you very much. We have already crossed 2/3 majority. And nothing can change that one. But we still want to insist that the right thing is done, because the mandate of the people in those various constituencies also matter.
So my last one. A very important one. Like you said, you've gone to court, and the process has been about Malik on Facebook is organizing 5,000 at the police station. Can you, in a way, for the peace of the nation, try?
You know what?
Malik Bazantele on his Facebook says 5,000 you should
I'll
gather.
give you Malik Basantale's
I know it's wrong. Some of you are going to just hold on a little. The media should just hold on a little for us. The rest can be